Hello, I'm R.L. Stein. Hello, I'm R.L. Stein. Hello, I'm R.L. Stein. Oh, hello, I'm R.L. Stein. Hello, I'm R.L. Stein. Hello, I'm R.L. Stein.
Welcome back to the channel, everybody. How you doing? I just want to say I appreciate you guys being here. Today we are going to talk about another Goosebumps book. A couple weeks ago I did a giant review of one Goosebumps book, Welcome to Camp Nightmare, and I figured let's do that again. I actually had a lot of fun doing it, and it's Devil's Night, October 30th. So I figured, what's a really good book to read from Goosebumps, and that is Attack of the Jack-O-Lanterns. I have some thoughts on this. I picked this book because, for one, it's Halloween, it's Devil's Night, but I also have a Halloween video coming out tomorrow, so you guys should go check that one out too. But I figured, it's trick-or-treating, it's Halloween theme, it's Goosebumps, it's perfect for Halloween. So that's why we're doing this video. Now, before we get into this, I just want to say, I'm going to kind of briefly talk about this. This is probably going to be a little longer video for this Goosebumps. I think I'm going to try and do more and more longer videos of Goosebumps in general, because I do enjoy talking about it. It's just so outrageous, some of the things that you read, especially from the 90s, especially like kids' 90s books. That's what makes this book really fun. This is what makes this series really fun too. So I decided we're going to do that. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. And I'm going to keep doing these because I actually really enjoy them, and I have a little stack right there. So we gotta keep reading them. You know what I'm saying? So we start off this book pretty hot. You meet the main character, Drew, and of course, her dad makes fun of her for her height, and he calls her Elf. And to me, I was like, it's funny about like when you're a kid and your dad like gives you like this really silly nickname that you hate, but then you grow up and you're just so used to it because you actually like appreciate it, because it's just like kind of like a bonding moment you have with your father, because your dad actually like that, he gave you that nickname, and it's just like means that you're like closer. Like my dad, he used to call me like Zachariah Mazawi. Why? I don't know why, but he always did. So this element, but me as a kid, I didn't really like it, but now I've grown to appreciate it, especially because he's not here anymore. So when I think about that now, it just kind of makes me chuckle, because when I was 12 years old, I was like, oh, I hate that he calls me that. But then it's like you get older and you just kind of appreciate it. And then you have Drew, and then you have Walker with Drew, and Walker is one of her friends. And then we get to a flashback. Right off the rip, this book immediately does a flashback. It's a lot different than a couple other Goosebumps books I've been rereading of the way that R.L. Stein approaches it. So my thought was, with this book, it's just going to be a whole flashback. But I'm kind of right, but I'm also kind of wrong. So then we get to this flashback, and then you meet Tabby and Lee, and Drew has beef with Tabby and Lee. You also meet Shane and Shauna, who are identical twins, who hang out with Drew and Walker. They all go to this party for Tabby and Lee. Tabby is just this typical girl who we all hate. She is the mean girls, blonde girl that everyone hates in these movies and books and so on and so forth. You end up just hating her because she's just a real bitch. We all know, because I think YouTube will attack me if I swear, but I'm also not allowed to swear anymore, so there's that. The ultimate prank happens where it's so silly to think about it too, but like they're all there at this Halloween party. They're all getting drunk off of chocolate milk, they're getting chocolate wasted here. Down in the stairs in the basement, they hear noises, and it's these two figures. One's wearing a ski mask, one's wearing a gorilla mask, and it's all scaring the kids, and they're all wondering, they're like, Lee, where's your parents? They're gone, we're all gonna die. But then, because R.L. Stein likes to do little cliffhangers on every single chapter where it wants you to keep reading, we get to the point where, well, it's just two teenage boys scaring the kids because Tabby wanted to scare them. And that's where it starts. Revenge. Revenge is a beautiful thing in this series. Well, in this book, I should say, because, well, that's what Drew wanted. And when you're reading this book, Drew talks about that. All they wanted to do is seek revenge. That's all they wanted to friggin' do, is do revenge. So then we jump to a year later. To me, I thought, okay, we're in modern time now. No, it's another flashback of another year. Where this time Drew, Shane, Shauna, and Walker are all going to try and seek revenge. So you spend like a chapter or two of Drew, Walker, Shane, and Shauna setting up the plot of this revenge. And they're doing all these kind of crazy traps of like booby traps and trap doors to lead them to the basement, and they fall and they hurt themselves. And this weird goo things with like pumpkins, and just so much for nothing. Because when Drew tries to set it up, Tabby says no, because Lee's cousin is in town, so they're not going to come out for Halloween. And it's ruined. Thanks a lot.
You know how much I sacrificed?
I will complain about this. I like I say a lot, I don't really try to complain too much about like these kind of books, because it is a kid's series. Like it's not meant for me. Like clearly it's not. When I was 12 years old, it was meant for me. But the thing is, this book already was really hard for me to get into, because the first 8 chapters was just like flashbacks of revenge, of why Drew wanted revenge against Tabby. Because clearly when Tabby did her thing to Drew, then Drew's like, I want revenge. That was fine. But then we did another flashback of why Drew wanted revenge against Tabby. And this time it wasn't really Tabby's fault. And she's like, my Halloween is ruined because of this. And it's like, no, it's not. Because you could easily have just done your Halloween stuff anyways. And she was so focused on revenge. And I'm gonna tell you, my goose were not bumping. I did not get those bumps very much, because I was kind of lackluster with this. I was like, this is kind of mid. So then this is a thing that really kind of hit me right in the heart. Now we are current. Drew, Walker, Shane, and Shauna again are gonna be like, yo, we gotta figure this out. We are gonna seek some revenge on these fools. And and they do, you know. But the reason why they say it's so important to seek revenge now isn't because they want revenge, but it's also because they're gonna be teenagers and they're not gonna be cool anymore to trick or treat. And I'm gonna be honest, man, that really hit me right in the heart. It hit me a lot more than I thought it would. The idea of, and we all been there. We all been there when we think it's not cool to do this anymore, because we're teenagers. We're all gonna go through puberty, and we're all gonna be like too cool for this stuff. You guys don't get me. I'm like different because I'm a teenager now. We've all been in there. You know, we all dealt with that stuff. But it really did hit me, because it's like, it's so weird that you immediately feel like you have to grow up, even though you want to still maybe trick or treat or still do these like kiddish things, but you can't because you're a teenager, and teenagers just do different things. And I'm kind of dealing with that, because I have a nephew right now, and he is going to be 12. And he, like, I love doing a lot of things with him that I, like, he loves getting into, like, a lot of these, like, kid stuff. He loves Pokemon. He loves, like, comic books and Spider-Man and stuff. But now he's getting to the age where he almost feels like he's too cool for it. And it really makes me sad to think about it. It's just so weird to think about those things. But it's really cool also, because it's, like, he's growing up. So, like, to me, when I'm thinking about this stuff, it's so mind-blowing. And it's just like an age thing, like, but now it's like, as an adult, I love to go back to all these things I grew up with, and I still love it, and it's just like the nostalgia. But your teenage years, it's just, you're trying to fit in, be cool. So that element really did hit me pretty hard. The rest of this book, like I've said, it's more of like a build-up, a plot. Drew, this is another funny thing, is like, so Drew dresses up like a superhero, and she's supposed to meet Walker, Shane, and Shauna, and then Lee and Tabby. But she's like late, and her dad wants to take pictures of her, but guess what? There's no flash. So then he tries again, no flash again. He realizes there's no film, and then Walker shows up, and Drew's like, deuces, I'm out. So then they leave, and they meet Lee and Tabby, and Lee and Tabby scare them with those 2 teenage boys again. Same exact stuff again. And then they finally start trick-or-treating. Everything's normal, and Drew's like, where's Shane and Shauna? Where are they? And Walker's like, I don't know, they're always on time. Tabby's like, oh, you're trying to scare us, that's all. And then we get to the point. We finally get to the title of this book, Jack-o'-lanterns, the attack of them. We finally get there, because the kids finally meet 2 kids, I guess, that have like jack-o'-lantern heads. Tabby and Lee are like, oh, we're not scared, we know that's Shane and Shauna. But Drew and Walker are like, no, that's not them. We don't know who these people are. The jack-o'-lanterns tell them, let's go to this other town, because we can get all the trick-or-treating done there. We can get all the candy. So all the kids go out there, and they follow these 2 jack-o'-lanterns out there, and they go out there, and this is where things are going to be, this is where I think things definitely pick up. They go out to this house, to this neighborhood that none of them have ever been to, and they all start getting candy. candy galore. Everywhere's candy, and that's what we love here. We freaking love candy. They get so much candy that it's like fills their bags to the brim where they like literally can't carry it. So then the jack-o'-lantern's like, no, we have to keep going. We have to keep going. Dang it, we have to keep going. And the kids are like, oh, but I can't because the bags are full, man. And the jack-o'-lantern's like, all right, then eat the candy. So then the jack-o'-lantern's like force the kids to eat the candy. So they eat so much candy that they're gonna be like sick and throw up and all that. And guess what? They go back to trick-or-treating again. And then the kids are like, how much longer are we gonna do this? And the jack-o'-lanterns are like, forever. You're gonna trick-or-treat forever. Me as an adult, I'm like, you know, I feel like I'd rather do that than living this kind of life where we're just working all the time and always tired and sore and all that. So I think I would prefer that, but hey, that's just me. I don't know. That is just me. Okay, maybe I'm just a little jealous. I mean, I love candy, so maybe that's it. Finally, Tabby and Lee have enough, and they're fighting with the jack-o'-lanterns, and they the head comes off the jack-o'-lantern, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, because they like pull the head off, and then they put the head back on the jack-o'-lantern because they realize, oh my gosh, these things are like real. They're not like fake. It's not Shane and Shauna. And guess what? They keep going trick-or-treating. That's kind of what happens. They fight with the pumpkin heads, and then they continue trick-or-treating. They fight with them back and forth constantly. Which I don't think is like a bad thing, but it's also like, holy crap, dude. And they finally get to another house, and guess what? This lady also has a pumpkin head. And then that's where they all get surrounded by all these pumpkin heads. And they force pumpkin heads on top of Tabby and Lee. Tabby and Lee freak out, scream, and they bolted out of there. Drew and Walker are about to get the pumpkin heads until everyone starts laughing. Everyone just starts giggling, and Drew tells Shane and Shauna, thank you for being aliens. When I read that, I was like, oh my gosh, dude, what? So Shane and Shauna are aliens, and everyone around them they're aliens. They brought them all there to pull this prank, and then all the aliens like left the houses to go back to their home. Shane and Shauna shifted their heads to be like pumpkin heads, and then it goes back, and they all start walking back to town to Drew's house, and they asked Drew. Well, Drew asked them what do they eat, because they don't eat candy, they don't eat food, like they don't eat anything. And earlier, Drew's mom didn't want Drew to go out because of the kidnapping, and the kidnapping is 4 fat people are getting kidnapped. So Drew doesn't care, but it only matters because they're fat people. That's what Drew was bringing up. Shane looks at Drew and says, you're a little thin still. When you get older, then we'll tell you what we eat. And Drew's like, wait, no, what? And that's how the book ends. This book is just so interesting. I'm going to tell you guys the honest truth. This might be one of my weaker ones because the build up to it took forever. And it just felt like, I felt like we could have had the one flashback. And I think the rest of the book would have been fine. But I felt like it was more of just like dancing around, just slowly getting there. To the point where it's like, I just was not as interested in this book. I think the book itself was just fun. Now, for spooky scariness, I'm going to give this like a 2. I didn't really think it was that scary. And granted, I don't think any of these Goosebumps books will actually scare me ever. But I'm thinking of like when I was 12 years old, would this book have scared me at 12 years old? And the truth of the matter is, no, it probably wouldn't, just because it just wasn't there for me. But in general though, I think this was a really fun one. If I had to give this a rating, I think I gave it like a 3.5. But because it's Goodreads, I had to only give it a 3. I think this book was interesting. I actually like these characters a lot more than Camp Nightmare. I think personally, I think these were a lot more fun characters. And I thought you actually could understand why Drew wanted revenge. Like, you really could. I feel like R.L. Stine wrote these characters a lot better than he did in Welcome to Camp Nightmare, which is perfectly fine. I mean, I don't have any issues with either of them. But yes, I had to give this maybe a 3. It's definitely not the highest rating. But to me, I think it's one of the more popular Goosebumps books. Yes, I plan on reading, like, Haunted Mask, Night of the Dummy, and Monster Blood, and playing more of his actual more popular books. But I kind of just want to read whatever I have and just have fun with it, because I just enjoy doing this Goosebumps series. So we'll see. But with Attack of the Jack-o'-lanterns, I just didn't enjoy it as much. I was hoping I would, but yeah, there was some elements, like I was talking about earlier, the nostalgic parts of just me when I was a kid. Now as an adult, it just really hits you differently. But besides that, I just didn't enjoy the book as much. Regardless though, I still had fun reading it. If you guys made it to the end of the video, I do appreciate it. What Goosebumps book should I read next? Let me know down below. I also am planning on reading some Fear Street from him, so I have one Fear Street book I will be reading, and that is for my winter TBR, it's a Christmas one. So if you guys know which one it is for Fear Street, then you'll know. But I do plan on doing that, and then I'm going to do another one for Goosebumps for the winter, for the Christmas season. You guys all should know which one it is. It involves snowmen, so that's a hint, just saying. But in general, though, which other one should I read? I would like to do one of these maybe every couple months, maybe every other month or something. It's just really fun to do some Goosebumps. And I do want to dive into some more Fear Street because I'm slowly picking them up. So I would love to read more of these books because they are just fun to read. I really do enjoy reading them. I didn't read too many Fear Streets growing up, but I read a lot more Goosebumps, so in general, though. And of course, make sure you guys stay safe, stay humble, and tell someone you love them. I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay weird.